The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Tracy Fitzpatrick, and I'll be your moderator today. We want to thank you all for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. And we're very excited to host today's webinar, a brief introduction to data visualization using Tableau. And presenting today's topic is Faycal Bouguir. Faycal is a UI UX designer and data visualization infographic specialist who excels at creating custom solutions in interaction and user-centered design, marketing, and communications. He also specializes in responsive UI UX design, wireframing, infographics, data visualizations, e-commerce, among others. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We do offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored towards your specific requirements. And if you're interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build an innovative learning organization by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we've been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We do have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. And today's presentation will be from the Data and AI practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio for data and AI courses. You can check them out up on the screen, along with our upcoming classes, which include various training on Tableau Desktop, Tableau Analytics, and many more. Private training to teams is also available, of which the learning plan can be customized to the specific needs of the audience. You can also access a variety of data and AI marketing assets, such as the free 1-hour training, free on-demand training, and blogs by clicking on the available webinar handout. These offers can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com. So why should you attend today's webinar? In the webinar, we will get an idea of what Tableau and its features include. The event will not only talk about how and when to use different Tableau charts, but also dashboard actions, sorting, and filters. And now I'd like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To begin, we do have the option to adjust the window size to your liking. Simply hit the Escape key and find the Zoom button on the top left corner of your GoToWebinar viewer. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. And to give a better idea of today's webinar, we have included all the slides and the courses we talk about and marketing assets in the handout section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You can refer to them to get a better understanding of today's topic. And finally, I'm going to pass it over to Faycal, who will be presenting today's topic.
Thank you,
Okay, Faycal, yeah, you are live and you've got the screen. Go for it.
Thank you, Tracy, for introducing the courses and the topic. My name is Faycal, and I will guide you through some of the features of Tableau today. So in short, we'll go over what Tableau is, where does it fit in terms of application versus, other products that you have on the market. We'll explore the basic features, so just so you get an idea of the interface and how the interface works. And then we'll go over how to work with Tableau. So, where to use certain charts, what sort of thinking goes behind developing and creating charts in Tableau. And then I'll show you a little demo on dashboard and, dashboard action, sorting, filtering, and get a better idea of how to utilize your data in Tableau. And then we'll have time for questions. So feel free. So the first thing I want to go over is really for you to understand that Tableau is an ecosystem. It's not just a one application. It's actually a set of applications. You can see a little bit more of these applications on the Tableau website, tableau.com. I'm just going to describe them in a bit. So the main application that you will have in the ecosystem is Tableau Desktop. That's the standalone application. So this is the application that you can download on your machines for your organization. You know, that will be useful per individual, and that will allow you to do pretty much everything that Tableau's offer in terms of tools. Then you have for larger organization or organization that need certain parameters of security on their server, is to install Tableau server. Then you also have Tableau Online, which is an online, as its name says, tool. It does have some limitation. Just because it's an online application, you won't be able to have all the features that, for example, Tableau Server or Tableau Desktop offers. You have two other tools which might be interesting for some of you who just want to get an idea of the features and the possibilities of Tableau, and that is Tableau Public. It is a free application that basically mimic the tools offered in Tableau Desktop. To one difference is that Tableau Public, because it's a free application, Tableau requires you that anything that you create in Tableau Public needs to be uploaded to the Tableau gallery, and as a result, your data becomes public. Yeah, so it's very important as you get familiar with Tableau or get into some training in Tableau. If you want to get started with Tableau Public, know that you need to use data that isn't sensitive in the sense that's part of your organization. Tableau Reader is a tool that allows you to view any Tableau project. So any project that was created in Tableau will be saved in a particular file format. The actual file format is called a TWBX, like an Excel file. A Tableau workbook is a Tableau project that's self-contained, and you can view it in a Tableau Reader. You can interact with those features. So any graph that you created, any dashboard that you create in Tableau can then be viewed and interacted with in the Tableau Reader. So that can be also useful if you have in your team or in your organization a team of analysts, for example, or analytics team that you need to deliver the Tableau project to. They can do the analysis directly on the Tableau Reader and interact with these features. So in terms of how you explore Tableau, the first thing is really your data source. So it's really your starting point in working with Tableau. And Tableau has the advantage that it can connect to a variety of data source. If you have your data on server, or if you have maybe on a cloud base, or using a web services, you can then connect to Tableau Desktop. You can connect to that data on Tableau Online, or if you need, for example, to work on that data and clean up some of those fields, you can do that with the Tableau Prep Builder or any tools like Excel that you have available within your team. Tableau also work with standalone files. So if you were to work with, let's say, Excel files or CSV files, so like if you work in e-commerce and you have a lot of data about your customers as CSV files, you can also utilize those files in Tableau. And that is your starting point. So you would have a data source, you will connect to that data source in Tableau, you will do any data cleanup depending on how your database was structured, how your data was formatted, and then you'll be able to work with the tools within Tableau to create your visualization, and finally distribute that. If you want, again, to distribute it to a team that can then interact with the data, you can do so using the Tableau Reader, for instance. Now, Tableau look at your data in a very specific way, and Tableau will look first at whether your data is a qualitative data or quantitative data. And that means that whether you have fields that are qualitative will allow you to create certain graphs, and then quantitative data will allow you to create other types of graph, and you can also combine those. Tableau will also look at two aspects of your data, and that would be whether your data is discrete, so whether a field or a data set. So a column, for those who are working with database, a column in your data will either be qualitative or quantitative, and then Tableau will look at the numbers, whether it's a discrete number or whether it's a continuous data, so a decimal number. And based on that, Tableau will then structure that data as you connect to your database or you connect to your data file, and will allow you then to manipulate that data to create particular graphs. And how do we do that? Is you want to think first on a methodology in Tableau. So it's really good to take a step back and really think of what sort of questions you are looking to ask the data. So you really need to think of, let's say you are looking at your customers and you want to understand their purchasing patterns. So the good thing is really just to think of a set of questions and then look at your data and think of what is available within your data. Then as you work through the tool in Tableau, you will explore, you will analyze, you will then discover insight within those graphs, and then you will be able to then create visualization that reflects those particular insights. So the third question is really, what does your actual visualization say? Does it actually reveal some insight in Tableau? Or if it doesn't, then you want to think of using other types of graphs. And to do all this, you will have in Tableau what we call the Show Me panel. So once you have connected to your data, then you have manipulated a little bit your data to structure it. You will then be able to explore possibilities of graphs using the Show Me panel, and then you will refine these in Tableau. And Tableau offers 24 charts to start with, and those charts will really depend on the fields you are utilizing in Tableau. So for example, if you were to create a line chart, you would need a measure, so a quantitative field, and then you will need either a measure or a dimension in Tableau. And Tableau will then be able to create that chart, and you will then be able to manipulate that chart, change the axis, format, sort, filter some of those fields within the graph. Another way to approach your graph in Tableau, so this is one of the tools, is really to think of what would you like to show in Tableau. And Tableau allows you to then hover over any of these graphs and will tell you what sort of fields you will need. So I'm going to open the Tableau desktop and show you that in one example. So if I have this particular graph, if I look at the Show Me panel, as I'm hovering over any of these possible graphs, Tableau is highlighting the graphs that are feasible with that particular data. The data is going to be available on the side, and then on the Show Me panel, I will have an idea of the particular graph that are possible. And for example, here with this data set, I have a tree map, I have a line chart, I have an area chart, I have the Bosque and Whisker plot, I have the pack bubble, and I have a Gantt chart. And that really depends on the data itself, but also what I have actually added to my view in Tableau. So in the case of a line chart, I have here here I also have more measure, and then I also have a measure on the y-axis. Let me go back to my slides. Oops, 1 second. So you want to think of, as you approach your project in Tableau, is whether you are looking to compare data, you're looking to draw an idea of relationship between your data. So maybe there is a relationship between the location of your customers versus the purchasing pattern. So let's say purchasing pattern in terms of, delivery, in terms of, whether they go for fast delivery or whether they go for the regular delivery of the items. In terms of distribution, maybe you have customers across the US and you might want to know where they're located, where do you get more business, depending on the region, depending on the county, depending on the state. All of that can be utilized and can be exploded in Tableau, so you can get an analysis of those data. You also might want to think of the composition of your customers, on demographic, on psychographics. If you have that data available in your database, you can sort that in Tableau and create specific graphs that will address those data. Now I'm going to give you a quick overview as well of the interface, and then I'll show you how the dashboard works. I'll give you a little bit of an introduction on for a demo of how to create a dashboard, how to create action, how to sort and filter that data. So in Tableau, what you will find is that Tableau has a panel basically for the data source. So on that panel, what you will have is Tableau will connect to a particular data source. So I have a text file, which is a standalone, and I've connected to that, render that data. So Tableau doesn't actually open the file, it creates a mirror of that file. This presents several advantages. That means if you're editing the data, so in Tableau, if you make changes, if you pivot, if some of you are familiar with the term pivoting, so you pivot the columns of your data, you can do all of that in Tableau without affecting your data source. Anything that you manipulate in Tableau, let's say you might want to change some field name, some column.
Yeah, hi, Faycal. I just want to interrupt. It's Tracy. Could you just double check your audio? We're losing you, and just go full screen on your slides.
You might want to have some columns, you want to pivot columns. So I could pivot some of those columns in Tableau, and you want to use where your graph sort of canvas. Should you have one? Any question?
Yeah, unmute your audio, Faycal, and go full screen on your slides.
Okay, sure. So, okay, can you hear? Can you see clearly? Yeah.
Yeah, you're full screen now. I'm still getting the top
I am.
part.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just go full screen. One second. This is because I'm using the. I'm not sure I can do that directly on here. Let me just go into the second. So, okay. So from the problem is I'm not going to be able to switch to the to Tableau desktop. That's my only concern.
Okay, just as is. We can still read them and see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to zoom a little bit just to just to make it easier. So
Oh yeah, that's better. Great.
on a particular sheet, and I'll just zoom a little bit more. On a particular sheet, what you have is you have a panel for data. So all your data will then be compiled here on that panel, and Tableau will separate those values based on whether, as I mentioned earlier, it is a qualitative field or whether it is a quantitative field. Yeah. So you will have all your qualitative field at the top, and then there will be a line that separates that data panel, and then you'll have all the quantitative field at the bottom side of the panel. Tableau will then also separate those values based on whether they are a discrete or continuous, and it will color those values. Blue will be discrete, and then green will be continuous. I'm just going to show you that just on my screen here in Tableau. You can see that some of those values are in blue, and then other values are in green. It is really Tableau's way of determining whether this is discrete or whether it is continuous. Yeah. So that will be your starting point. Then what you will have is Tableau has what we call a set of shelves. So in any worksheet, you will have those shelves. So on 4, 5, 6, 10, 9, these are all shelves. And Tableau works in, I would say, a simple way in terms of getting started is as you drag a field from the data set here into the shelves, you are creating graphs. So usually your starting point is you drag any field into columns and row. What you have here on 9 and 10, these are your columns and row. And basically columns and row in Tableau create columns of data and rows of data. And then Tableau, based on the graph that you have selected here on number 13 in the Show Me panel, then determines a particular graph and will render that particular graph. So that's really how you would work with Tableau. You drag fields into the columns and row. You select a particular graph in the Show Me panel to get started. And then based on that, you dive more into the analysis using the questions I gave you earlier on that slide, whether you are comparing, whether you are looking at relationship in your data, whether you're looking at the composition of that data, or whether you're looking at the actual distribution. So in the case of my graph that I have here on the slide, we are looking at the distribution here of the data. So we can see that there's a certain distribution pattern in terms of sales versus profit. And then you have different categories, different segments here with this data. So you have this consumer, you have the corporate, and then you have the home office. And based on that, then I can actually determine some insight. So I can see that for home office, I have that in the lower quadrant between 25% and profit that doesn't go above 15K. So I know that that market is tend to be lower in terms of profit, but also in terms of sales. So you can then dive into more details on the analysis. Now, in terms of creating sorting, creating actions, creating filter, there is a particular panel for filter. Methods in sorting the data. Just going to, and then the sorting, there are different methods. So I'll give you a brief introduction on that. Any field that you drag to the filter on 5 will filter your data. That means if I show you on a quick demo, if I drag, you add the type of data range and have a range of value. If, however, you are looking at data that is qualitative, if I drag country into the filter, that is qualitative data, then I would have a list, and then I can select from that particular list my actual data. Yeah. Now, let's go back to the slide. Now, if you were to sort your data, you can do it first in the data panel. So in the data source, you will see that I have a particular filter, and I can add a global filter onto my data. So if I add a global filter, and that's one method of working, there are many, just because of lack of time, I'm not going to go over all of them, but this is one we're working. You can set a filter around the actual entire database, or you can do that on a sheet for a particular field that you're analyzing. If you want to sort that particular field, you have different ways of doing it. We have here 2 fields. We have one that's called year, and then one that's called GDP per capita. And I can select any of these fields and sort that data based on that particular field. So here for the year, let me see. I don't have the field just because these are already filtered. I'm going to show you maybe on another field. So let me drag GDP. Let's see if I drag rank. Let me do it on another sheet. It's probably going to be easier. Okay, so for example, here on the ranking, I have a graph that shows me the ranking of particular country based on the GDP, and I can see that there's a little triangle in my pill. So the pill is the actual field that you drag into any rows or column, and I can then see that it is actually sorted because I have a little triangle. Now, in those fields, let's see, I have like country, I can sort them, and Tableau will allow me to sort different way. I can sort manually, I can sort by alphabetic order, or I can sort by a particular field. So if I say I want to look at this list of country, but I don't want to sort them by a particular field, not the actual GDP, but something else, I can do that. Here I have country, I have GDP per capita, but I may have another field that I can utilize here in the graph. So these are different ways of sorting your data. Now, if I want to look at creating actions, I'm going to show you on the dashboard. So you have any sheets here that you have created will give you a little tab that reflects that particular sheet. And then Tableau will have an actual dashboard icon where you can actually create a new dashboard. This also going to be found here at the top, and you'll have a menu, new dashboard. You will drag any sheets that you've created into your dashboard to create a dashboard. So here I have created a simple dashboard where I have the growth of each country, I have the GDP ranking, and then I have a map that shows me where these countries are. And then I have an actual filter here that was created for the graph. So actions are a little bit more complex. I'm just going to show you how these work. In the dashboard or in any sheet, you can create action. So if I'm on the dashboard, I can select action. And then I have to decide how the action works. So I will add an action. Tableau will allow me to decide whether I want to filter on an action, whether I want to highlight, whether I want to go to a particular web page, whether I want to go to a particular sheet, whether I want to set parameter or set a particular value. And then once I do that, so for example, let's say I want to go to a particular sheet, I want to be on the map, and then I want, when I select, to have Tableau direct me to the dashboard, click OK, click OK. So what's going to happen, I click on the map, I have those values, but if I'm here on the map, if I click, oops, it doesn't send me, let me see, dashboard, okay, so I have this, it filters the value. It should send me, I should probably set another one, so let me just go over the map. I'll have to do it on the worksheet. So I'll set an action, I'll add an action, I'll go to a particular sheet, like I did, target the dashboard. I'll do when I select, and then I click OK, and then I click OK. So when I click, it sends me to the actual dashboard with those values. So you can create multiple actions. The idea of how you work with action is one action does one thing. So I did one action here, it selected those values. I needed to do another action to actually send it to the actual dashboard. So you want to think of it this way. You want to structure how you set your actions in Tableau as a narrative, and that narrative should follow sort of your insight, how you introduce your data, how you introduce your graph, and then how you introduce the insight, and then dive more into the data via your insight. A couple more things I'm going to show you. And Tracy, let me know when I have to wrap up on that little demo. So a couple of things, you will have here the marks, and the marks will allow you to also sort and filter your data. And how the marks card works is Tableau will look at the entire data. So I'm going to create another sheet to show you. Tableau will then, in the details mark, filter your entire data. So then you will be able to slice your data based on any of these fields, any of these qualitative fields in the detail mark. Can go in more details in a particular training. That is another way as well to sort your data and to filter your data in Tableau. This is actually quite an important tool because the details allow you to slice your data based on the entire data that's available here. Based on a particular field, a particular qualitative field, you can then slice by country, you can slice by year, or you can slice by a particular measure if you had another measure here. That is all I wanted to show you in terms of those particular tools. I gonna send back to Tracy to carry on.
Thank you so much. That was most informative, Faycal. And before we get to all of your great questions, keep those coming, please. I'm going to pass this over to, let's see, Chitra, who is our product manager, and she's going to introduce you to some fantastic promotions and webinar-related courses. Okay, Chitra, do you have the screen?
Yes, I'm up. I'm just trying to share it. Hold on a moment. Yes, thank you so much, Tracy. Welcome all. I hope you had a fantastic session with Faycal. I love the information that he shared so far with us. So we do have some wonderful training offerings on the Tableau front, and that is what I'm showcasing out here with y'all. All you need to do when you're wanting to, or if you're interested in taking up a session on Tableau, is log on to our website, netcomlearning.com. Choose Tableau from the listed vendors out here, and you will end up with a Tableau authorized page, which gives you a lot of information on the kind of courses we have, the kind of certifications that you can look at, and also the kind of webinars that you can go in and check out. Some of the trainings that we have on offer for you are on Tableau Desktop 1, which is the fundamentals, and then you have Tableau Desktop 2, which is the intermediate. We also have the offer going on Tableau Desktop 1 and 2, the accelerated. Please feel free to log in for these sessions. The price which is happening at this point is you have a 10% discount on the official pricing. These sessions are run by Tableau themselves, so it is their public calendar that has been put on schedule out here. If you have any queries, please do reach out to us and we will be happy to help you out. Tracy, back to you.
Great, thank you so much. And I'm sure everyone will take advantage of those great offers from Netcom. And now, as promised, let's get to some of your fantastic questions. The first one comes from Leslie, who would like to know, Faycal, is there a similar presentation available on Power BI? Is that something that you would do?
I personally don't teach Power BI, so I would refer to Sadia or Ben on who would do that kind of presentation. What I can say is, in terms of comparison, Tableau offers definitely more features. Just a brief on Tableau is that Tableau update its features pretty much every 3 to 6 months. So you will notice that if you work with Tableau, you have to update your application if you're using Tableau Desktop, or the Tableau Online will have more features. So that's the advantage that I can only see about Tableau. Power BI has different types of features.
Okay, and if you want to just expand a little bit more on what you just said, because we have a question from Alan who does want to know, how does Tableau Desktop compare to Tableau Online in terms of features?
So in terms of features, Tableau Desktop is more handy in terms of like how you would format, for example, your graph. So for example, if you want Tableau Online, you would have limited formatting. So you won't be able to format completely your graph. Tableau is very powerful when it comes to formatting your graph. So you really can change anything in the graph itself, anything on the axis, colors, fonts, how the graph looks. All of that you can do in Tableau Desktop. You will be more limited on Tableau Online. Tableau Online has one advantage though, is it's a set of types of account. So you might have in your team some people who don't manipulate the graph itself, who are just viewing, who are just analyzing, you can create those accounts in Tableau Online. You might have other members of your teams who are actually developing the graphs, and they'll have a different set of accounts in Tableau Online. That's the main difference.
Okay, finally, Kevin would like to know, how do I share the dashboard that I create with my team?
Different ways. So it all depends on, who needs to do or see what. As I mentioned earlier, you have the Tableau reader. So if you have to distribute those Tableau workbook, so those project, those dashboard to a team that just need to analyze, you can do so with the Tableau reader. You can also distribute it as a file, as a standalone file, and then that team can open it in Tableau desktop or Tableau Online and then manipulate that data as well. So you have different ways. You can also share on a web page. You can embed that project. You can share it on an email. You can share it via social media. So there's various ways depending on who needs to do what in that particular project.
Great. And let's see, Al would like to know, can I combine data from multiple sources in Tableau?
Correct. That's one of the main advantages, I would say, in Tableau. I would favor as well Tableau Desktop for that purpose. Is Tableau Desktop does allow you to connect to a wide variety of sources: Amazon server, Microsoft server, standalone file, statistic files. You can find all that list on the Tableau website. So go into Tableau Desktop, and types of connection, and it will show you the whole list of connection that you can establish with Tableau based on the database. You can combine those databases, as I was showing you earlier. As you go into the Connect panel, you can connect to multiple sources, and they don't need to be in the same database. That means you can connect to maybe a standalone Excel file, as well as maybe an SQL file, and then combine that data. Tableau offers ways to combine that data without going into details. There's two main ways in connecting, in combining that data. You can create relationships between those data files, or you can create join, which combine the actual data into table.
Okay, finally from Jasimir, I'm not sure if this is a question. What are the benefits of Tableau Chat?
Tableau, say it again.
Benefits of Tableau Chat.
Chat. I'm not familiar with Tableau Chat. You mean as the application, or?
Yeah, maybe part of the question got cut off. We'll take care of that after the webinar. We can explore that a little bit more.
Okay.
But now we are out of time, and before we go, though, we would like to launch a quick poll to find out how many people might be interested in taking some additional training. So please just take a few minutes to fill that out quickly before you all get back to work. In addition, we do have a lot more informative webinars coming up. So please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register. We want to thank you all for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. And we hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you with us back here soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you all for attending.